Hey, what's going on? Welcome to VT Sports. I'm Danny Cannell alongside my guy Chris Mano. Big show lined up for you today. The NFL Draft, a little over a week away. We're going to go through some of our top picks, who the teams should select in those top 10 selections of the draft. We've got more. Last week we talked about Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel. There's been some news on that front as Dianna Russini no longer with the Athletic. We'll talk about the fallout from that. We had the WNBA draft. That's right. We're going to talk a little WNBA. Very little, and it probably has nothing to do with actually breaking down games, but there's an interesting scenario which is developing with the number one overall pick. Plus, Ronda Rousey's been making the rounds. Mano found some sound from her, and I have what we have dubbed as Kids Gone Wild. I can't wait to show Mano that little clip that I've got from the baseball world of some kids that are out of control. I don't care. I'm calling them out of control. We'll do that as well. Couple other topics we got to hit on as well, but let me check in with my guy Mano, see what's going on. How we doing?
Man, I'm great. I actually love this week. I love this week in sports, like basketball playoffs starting. I know the draft is on its way. It's going to be here in about a week. Baseball is kind of getting into the swing. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year as a sports fan, so I think we got a ton to talk about coming on here. I mean, ton to watch at
You know
night.
what kicked it all off? And we did
think.
not have this as one of our topics, but I'm a golfer, and the Masters was great. I don't know how much you watched. It's to me, it's like the unofficial start of spring. When I lived up north, when I lived in Connecticut, I mean, you're dying to get outside. You're waiting for the snow to thaw out. You're waiting for some green to start growing. And that usually kind of was the time of year. And you just start, getting in front of your TV, watch some golf, and Rory McIlroy gets it done, goes back to back. So I was watching some golf this past weekend. It is great because I think some people, hardcore football fans, probably getting a little restless. It's all about the NFL draft. But you're right. NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball getting underway, kind of in the swing where they're starting to see some pretty good games. It's getting fun.
And if you're a hockey fan, I happen to think playoff hockey is probably amongst the best sport to watch. It is so exciting. Every game is like do or die. Guys are playing their faces off, and that's picking up too. So if you're a hockey fan, check in on that.
Yeah, no doubt. And UFC was pretty good. I saw PBD. I saw Pat and the fellas there in Miami.
Yeah, them guys were out there.
Insane.
They were doing it. Yeah, they were doing it. It's going to be a good I
talked to Umberto. He was telling me he was fired up because he was there and he was saying how it was the best event he's ever been to.
And there was a great heavyweight fight. I mean, like one of the best, and nobody expected it. And it was so great that it sort of
overshadowed, right?
And it forced the UFC to get one of those guys onto the White House card. Like, I don't know if you heard the story about that. Did you hear that?
No, tell me.
So Donald Trump's favorite fighter is Derek Lewis. And if you're familiar with Derek Lewis, are you familiar with Derek Lewis?
Yeah.
All right, so Derek Lewis is like, he's a great quote waiting to happen.
Yeah.
He is a big teddy bear / maniac. And he
always crosses the line just a little bit.
Yeah, there's no
it's a
line
little
with
inappropriate.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Ronda Rousey later. If you Google Derek Lewis, Ronda Rousey, you'll see one of the funniest clips you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But that's for another day.
Is it his wife or his girl who he talks about
He talks about his wife. Yeah. But long story short, he's Trump's favorite fighter. And Trump, in the middle of the pay-per-view, at the middle of the show, leans over to Dana White and he goes, is Derek Lewis on the White House card? And he goes, no. And he goes, well, get him on the White House card. And by the time they left the building that night, Dana White booked Derek Lewis versus the guy who won that crazy fight later in the night.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. See that?
It should be awesome.
Getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Trump's always working some deals.
Wild.
Good to see him contributing there. Because I know we had talked about the White House card, how it was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
That'll add a little bit of juice to it.
Yeah, that'll do something for sure.
Fired up about that. Next week, we're going to have to do something. I don't know if you're going to do the show solo or if we're going to do a show early because I am traveling next Wednesday to Pittsburgh for the NFL draft. Yeah, I'm fired up. Traveling there with SiriusXM. We'll be on the coverage there on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. I mean, Saturday. Saturday gets a little bit long. I'm not going to lie. I think our show is from 12 to 7.
Okay.
Which for PBD is like nothing. For me, that's a little long. That's a little long in the tooth.
Well, got to compare yourself to, man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
My man's an animal just going out there doing podcasts for 7 hours on election night. But I'm super fired up to do it. It should be a fun night there in Pittsburgh. With that being said, I am so tired of mock drafts.
Okay.
I get to this point every year where I've like seen them. I mean, I got colleagues that I work with that have to do them every single week. Like my buddy Ryan Wilson with CBS Sports, I think he's done like 25. And what do you do? Like, and he'll admit this. A lot of times at some points, you're doing it like just to do it. Like it's not information. It's not what you're hearing. It's, hey, let me massage it a little bit and see how you could tweak it and make a case for a certain team. And I always go back to myself as a player. And this is where I feel bad for players. because the amount, and it was totally different in the 90s when I was coming out. It was just starting to get more on television. It was getting more mainstream, but there might have been 1 or 2 mock drafts, and it was Mel Kiper and somebody else. So, like, not that many.
Right.
And even then, I remember hearing the speculation, where are you going to go? And, you hear people criticize it, breaking down your game. I cannot imagine what it's like for a guy like Ty Simpson, who is a player maybe we'll talk about in the top 10 potentially, maybe not. But like his game, he's probably been the most talked about. He's a quarterback, and there's like Fernando Mendoza's going number 1, so it's like who else are you going to talk about? And then there's this wide range of where he could go. Some people think he goes high as like number 12, 13. The Jets at 16, I think, is one of the picks they're talking about him going to. But there's a lot of speculation. Could he fall to the second round? And so you're Ty Simpson. You're thinking like your life is about to change. They're about to get this amazing opportunity, but you get excited. It's human nature to hear this, like, oh, I could be a top 15 pick. Maybe you start looking at homes on Zillow in Pittsburgh or New York, and then all of a sudden, and teams and organizations, but you have no idea. And that anxiety, not to mention guys like me on TV saying, I don't know if you should be a first round pick. And you hear all this noise, and it's got to be so frustrating, exciting, but uncertain, I think is probably the perfect word, because you're going to pick up and move and start the next phase of your life, and you have no idea where it's going to be, unless you're Mendoza.
Yeah, right. Well, what I've always thought was so interesting was how you could be home literally doing nothing and be a top 5 pick one day, play no games, and some knucklehead on TV can almost talk you up or talk you down.
Totally.
Let me ask you this.
And they're kind of doing it for entertainment purposes. Like I was just
100%.
talking about the mock drafts that are done. I mean, I respect everybody that's in business, and Dan Orlovsky, I'm friends with him. I respect him a ton, but I totally disagree with him on Ty Simpson. So then when I come on and I kind of take on Dan Orlovsky's points and pick them apart one by one, I feel like I'm dissing Ty Simpson. But like, it's a harsh business, and you kind of have to, like, and I put myself in the general manager position where if you had your job was at stake, whether you're going to select this player or not, like, are you going to take him? And it's easy to sit here in our position and be like, well, I wouldn't touch him or I wouldn't take him, when if like our jobs are almost increased if you give takes like that, where if you're the general manager, it's your livelihood is on the line if you mess up this pick.
Yeah, 100%. What I think is always the craziest part about that is, and I just can't get over the idea that a guy who's never been in one of those rooms, how many of those rooms has Mel Kiper been in?
I don't
and
think
Mel
ever.
Kiper, I really believe he has so much influence over Todd McShay, guys who like you may have never heard of or may have had pegged as a middle round pick. They get enough play 2 weeks into the draft, and you can talk a guy from the 3rd round to the bottom of the 1st. And it is such a crazy
All right, let me
concept.
ask you.
Go ahead.
Do you think they influence the rooms, the general managers, and
1,000,000,000%? And I
do.
also think that they are influenced by the agents. Like, I think there's no world where...
you do. So you think the agent. So I don't think the agent provides any value whatsoever.
No. What I'm saying is, and I don't want to drop names on purpose.
Okay.
But I'm saying, if I'm an agent who has guys who are 2nd and 3rd round guys, and I know over the next 2 weeks, sports media broadcaster A is going to be on the air 3 hours a day pitching players, I very well may grease his palm a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, we've seen things over the last couple of weeks with sports media people where it becomes a little hairy to, that
Orlovsky
line.
did come under fire because he was kind of criticizing Mendoza, and he was pumping up Ty Simpson, and people Googled it. Who represents Dan Orlovsky and who represents Ty Simpson? And they're both by CAA.
Of course.
I know Dan. I don't think he was greased by any means. I just think he believes that. I think he's watched the tape, and while I disagree with him, I'm okay with that. But the one thing I was going to get to you, which I don't think you were saying this, I remember meeting with agents when I was coming out. Now, I was not a 1st round pick. I thought possibly I could go in the 2nd round, ended up going in the 4th. Okay. But I remember talking to agents who were like, I can help you. I can help your draft stock. And for me, that was a big red flag, because I don't think agents can help your draft stock at all. Unless you're looking for an undrafted free agent status. Okay. Then I think their contacts, their connections possibly could help you get a foot in the door. But I don't think your agent can call around, pre-draft process and on draft night and be selling you and have any impact on where you're drafted.
Well, what I do think is I think that there are probably something to maybe package deals. Like, listen, I'd be more willing to work with you taking this guy here if maybe in the 4th you're willing to look at this guy here. I definitely think that that's a thing, because these guys don't have, one guy. Most of the guys who have top picks have a whole bunch of these guys that are going to be coming into the league, and middle round guys included. I know when I was coming in and I was looking for an agent, I would prefer a guy like if CAA would have looked at me, which they never would have in a million years, I would have been priority 5,000 on their list.
Right.
So what I was looking for was an agent who I knew was just going to knock a door down, who was just going to keep banging and banging and banging on these teams' doors to try to get me an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, if there's an agent who has guys who are near the top of the draft and guys near the bottom of the draft all under the same roof, I absolutely think there's probably a world where one of them says like, okay, you want these undrafted free agents later? Maybe you take this guy around earlier. I definitely think that there's something to that. Is there nothing to that?
I still don't think so, but you might be onto something. We'd have to have an agent on, but then they'd probably sell themselves as being able to do it because they want to get that 3% commission from all of them. All right. So
can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Did you hear Diego Pavia? And he said why he didn't hire an agent.
Yeah.
Come on, Diego Pavia. What are you doing?
So because he was on with John Gruden.
Yes, he was.
And
who's great, by the way.
Yeah,
He's
Gruden.
so good.
That show was I get a lot of stuff came in and he left, but the only thing that bothers me is when it was on ESPN, everybody saw it. And now I only see the clips, so I haven't gone on to YouTube. I need to go watch it and actually watch the full episode. He's phenomenal. He does a great job. But the clip you're referencing, Diego Pavia says, I'm not hiring an agent because I think Gruden said, who represents you? He said, I don't have an agent. And he said, why would I want an agent? Because they're going to take 10 and 15% of my money, which is the case in college. And that's the crappy thing that nobody knows. And that's actually on the low side. These agents are taking 20, 25%
I did not know that.
of NIL deals. Yeah, because it's unregulated. There is no cap. But the point that everybody was making was, hey, Diego, they're not allowed to take more than 3% in the NFL.
Right.
And I was a little unclear if he definitely didn't know that or if he was just referencing the money that he made in college and his teammates talking to. But yeah, it is a little bit risky. Here's the other thing why I don't have a problem with him saying he doesn't have an agent, because Lamar Jackson uses his mom, didn't have an agent. Jaden Daniels uses his mom as his agent. Maybe your second deal, I think, is where you need an agent, some help. And even those guys probably don't need it, but everything is slotted. That's a little bit more than last year. And if you're the 131st pick, which I was, you're going to make a little bit less than the 130th and a little bit more than the 132nd. It just is what it is. So it's pretty much slotted. You can go look it up, do your research, and say, this is what you should get me.
Yeah, and is guaranteed money slotted too? Because I know that my understanding is if I'm looking for a guy, I just want the guys to get me the biggest guarantee, because we all know that those contracts
pretty much
may or may as well be on toilet paper at that point, right?
Right.
So it's
pretty much everything is pretty much slotted.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, maybe as a quarterback, you might have a little bit more leverage, but what are you going to do? Unless you're a top 15, are you going to hold out as a second round pick, or even a late first round pick? You very rarely see that anymore. So yeah, they are where they are, and it's not that necessary for an agent. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through our top 10 picks.
Okay.
I think from our conversation before the show, you might have proposed some trades. You might have some movement. But basically we're going to go through the top 10 picks and give our top 10 players where we think they're going.
Okay.
Number one, is there going to be any drama whatsoever? Because there has been some reports out there. I don't know if Diana Rossini had anything on this one. We'll talk about her later. But I think there have been some rumblings that the Raiders have fielded some offers. But I think it's inevitable. I think he's going to the Raiders. I think them signing Kirk Cousins. It was funny. I was playing golf in a charity golf tournament on Monday, and somebody said, "Oh, are the Raiders really not going to take Mendoza?" I was like, "Why?" And they said, "Well, Kirk Cousins got a 5-year deal. Isn't he the quarterback?" And I said, first of all, the 5-year deal that Kirk Cousins signed is not a 5-year deal. It's basically a 1-year deal that has written as a 5, but it's basically they can move on after
guaranteed money.
1 year, $20 million is what he's getting. I think that actually is a great move, and I think it actually says more that they're going to take Mendoza because he's a perfect mentor for Mendoza.
Absolutely. It's a great move for both of them, too. I think it's a great move for Las Vegas, who gets that veteran quarterback to sort of ease in Mendoza, who, like you said, is you ever see that Spider-Man meme where, two guys are looking exactly at each other?
Gosh.
That's exactly the vibe I get from these two. He's going to be a perfect, transition to the Mendoza era out there, which is probably I don't know what it could possibly be like being a starting quarterback out in Las Vegas, but you got to imagine for a regular guy, there's probably a ton of temptations. Fernando Mendoza seems like he's not cut from that cloth, where he's like a different stay in your room, do your homework type of guy, which is great to have Kirk Cousins in there. So yeah, Kirk will be a great mentor to him. They'll do that 1 year. And I think probably, what do you think about week 8 to 10, they maybe make the move.
Depends on how the season's going.
See where the
if somehow
schedule's at.
Cousins surprises to the upside, maybe you keep him in the wings. I will say this, Malik, Google Fernando Mendoza Esquire magazine. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, my man's a cover boy now.
Yeah.
And I talk about, I think he's doing something to change his image a little bit because, like you were saying, I think everybody predicts him, perceives him as this nerdy. I mean, he's channeling his inner Tom Brady.
Bro, I want my quarterback to be a nerd. I want my starting quarterback to be a geek. I do. And I especially want him to be a geek if he's a rookie and in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you, like, flourish into Tom Brady, who started off kind of like a pudgy little geek, right?
Yes.
And he turned out to be like, he's Tom Brady.
If any, because I have heard this is a knock against Fernando Mendoza because he's kind of nerdy, he's awkward, he's a little bit.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever talk to Andrew Luck? Andrew Luck was the biggest nerd that was ever out there. And he went to Stanford, which is the nerdiest school of all time. And he used a flip phone when everybody else was using smartphones.
Yeah.
If you can ball and you have command of the system and the offense, it doesn't matter. You can be the biggest nerd of all time. Players, your teammates will respect you as long as you show up ready to work and you deliver.
That's exactly what it is. And that's what's the beautiful thing about the locker room that I think nobody understands. You know who I think about a lot? Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a Harvard kid who came in and by the end of the season was wearing Deshaun Jackson's tracksuit and jewelry onto the podium.
Yes.
And those guys accepted him not because they came from the same places or because they knew the same people, but because at the end of the day, you're in the room, I'm in the room, you can ball, I can ball, let's get going. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And that was cool. I always loved that.
Yeah. I mean, there's our guy who was a Ivy-educated nerd, and he comes out there and now he's out there partying with his shirt off in Buffalo and taking off his shirt on Amazon Prime on the studio crew.
Do you know what's funny too, man? I think when I was a little kid, I was like nerd was different to me. Like I kind of think like the kid who does well in school now is like the cool kid. Like it's not cool to get like D's and stuff anymore, right?
Right.
Like when my mom and dad were little, they'd tell me like kids who did well in school, they got picked on. You're nice to everybody, you get picked on. That's not things have changed.
Yeah, so, they definitely have changed.
Guys like those.
Did you see the meme that was going around with Mendoza and Cousins? And then they had like two Mormon kids, like in their white shirts and black ties at your door. They're like, here's the picture of those two. It was pretty funny. You have to check it out. All right, let's get to pick number 2, which is your New York Jets. So you being our resident Jet fan, I will let you have the opportunity. Now, I'm pretty educated on this pick because I actually was the New York Newsday. Reached out and they wanted to break down the top 4 picks because they have, I think they have a bunch of picks in the first 36.
The Jets, Jets have 3.
Up to 33. Where do you think the Jets are going at number 2?
So I think with Aaron Glenn being the head coach, and I think the way that the last year has gone, if you don't know, the Jets have moved on from Quincy Williams, who was an all-pro linebacker. They moved on from Jermaine Johnson, who was a first-round pick out of your Florida State University, and they moved on from Quinnen Williams. So that front 7 got beat up a little bit on the defensive side. Aaron Glenn is here. He's got to make a point. So I have it down to Arvell Reese, and David
Bailey
and David out of Texas
so
Tech.
Do I.
What I have is I think the
Jets
Jets
have the same debate I had with a guy from Newsday.
All right, so the Jets,
and they're different. They're both really good prospects.
Yes, they are,
but they're kind of different.
So here's the thing: I think the Jets have had success with Ohio State players before. Had success with Garrett Wilson. They've re-signed Jeremy Ruckert to a second deal. And something about the Blue Blood program over Texas Tech. Shout Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, buddy. I think they go Arvell Reese with number 2. I do think a surprise could be another Ohio State player, and this one's a little bit outside the box.
Caleb Downs?
Carnell Tate.
Oh,
I think possibly Carnell Tate at 2. But I think probably Arvell Reese.
So you're going Arvell Reese.
Yes.
All right. So this is the debate. This is actually the conversation that I had with Newsday when they were reaching out to me because I think it's going to be defense.
Yeah.
I think Carnell Tate at 2 is a reach. But the Jets could screw this up, I think, somehow. And I think they could get a really good receiver at 16 if they wait that far. But you might miss out on Carnell Tate. Then you're getting to like kind of the second or third wide receiver on the board. Carnell Tate's really good, and we'll probably be talking about him soon.
Yeah.
So here's the difference in Arvell Reese and David Bailey. Arvell Reese is 20 years old.
Yep.
He is a baby. Started his career at safety, then moved up to linebacker. He is a freak as a talent. Here's one thing where I get biased a little bit. I'll go David Bailey for my pick. I think you've got the classic debate of do you go with the higher upside and maybe a little bit more risk. I think they're both really good picks. Again, both of them are going to be really good.
Okay.
And I think Arvell Reese has a tremendous upside. But I do think at 20 years old, how soon is he ready? Sometimes you come in early, it can be a little overwhelming. You kind of get lost and then it kind of derails your career. I don't think that'll happen, but I'm going to go with David Bailey, who is started his career at Stanford. He's a really bright kid.
Yeah.
I'm biased. I actually got to talk to him. I was covering the Orange Bowl when they played Oregon, Texas Tech. And he reminds me, one of the things that I think separates, like you can tell when you talk to NFL players, like who's a guy that's going to play 10 to 15 years, be an all-pro, just be a guy that's a consummate professional. It's really how do they handle themselves, the professional aspect of it. When I talked to David Bailey, I just had that instant like, oh, this guy's going to play 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's smart, very just like he's got the right mindset. His teammates raved about him. Again, I saw Arvell Reese in person, and I totally get why it's like, oh, you see this dude, he's long, he's length. Length is very trendy right now.
Yeah.
But I'll go with David Bailey. I think it's the safer pick, which I think the Jets would be smart to make the safer pick.
Yes.
I also think they need somebody to come in right away and make an impact. I think Bailey will have an earlier impact than Arvell Reese. So I'll side with them just over Arvell Reese. But either way, with the Jets, I don't think they can go wrong.
Okay. All right. So you go 3.
All right.
Who do you got 3?
Number
to Arizona.
3 to Arizona. Oh, man. You know what's kind of crazy is that they need a lot of help too, including their quarterback situation is up. And I am not going quarterback at number 3. I promise you that. I just saw your eyes light up.
Yeah.
But I almost wish they would trade back.
That's fair.
But a lot of teams would love to trade back.
Yeah.
This position, you know what? I'll go with Arvell Reese here.
Okay.
Because I think they need some help on the defensive side of the ball. I talked about him being an insane prospect. If he's still on the board, it's one of those best available. And who knows? This might be a David Bailey spot too, where you could see both of these guys flip-flop and see where they go. But I'll go with Reese out of Ohio State there at number 3.
And I have another Ohio State guy going 3 to Arizona, and that's Sonny Styles. Another freak who I don't think makes it very far down this board.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be probably the common theme of this segment, right? Ohio State and freak. I mean, that's generally how it's been. And you watch that combine, these guys put on an absolute show. They were the talk of the combine. I think Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. I wouldn't be shocked. I literally have right here, Bailey could go here.
Yeah.
But I like Ohio State guys.
It makes a lot of sense. They've churned them out, and they're usually NFL ready. They play in a program where they're competing against NFL guys every day in practice. Totally agree with you on that one. All right. Pick number 4, the Titans.
All right, pick number 4, I have who I think is the best player in the draft.
Ooh.
I think it's a bit of a reach. I don't even want to say a reach, but it's not common that you see a guy at this position go so early. I got Jeremiah Love. The best player in the draft. He's a running back at a Notre Dame. Why is he? I think he's going here. They spent the number 1 overall pick on Cam last year.
Yep.
You got to get him help, right? You got to get him a major weapon, and they're going to do that. I know it's early for a back, but the last few backs that went in this position, they turned into great players. I mean, CMC went early, right? Bijan Robinson went early. Saquon Barkley went early. I heard someone say it earlier, and they're absolutely right. This is going to be the best time to get a running back, right? You don't want to get these guys when all the tread's been worn off the tires. So I think this is a great time. So I think he comes in. I think he gets right to work. I think the thing you have to do as a rookie back is be able to pick up the blitz and protect. And I think he does a really good job of that. I think he's the most complete player in the draft. I think he's going to be a superstar. I think Jeremiah Love to Tennessee at 4 is my pick.
You know what? We totally agree. I have the exact same spot on the board for him going. He is Brian Kelly, who coached him a few years ago before he left for LSU. Called him the best player he's ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah. Did he coach him? I don't know if he did coach him, but I saw him last night. He's working with CBS Sports now, and he was saying he's the best player he's ever seen. I don't know if he recruited him or was part of that process. He is nasty.
Yeah, he's nuts.
A little bit banged up a year ago, but one of the things I loved about him, if you remember last year's playoff, Notre Dame played Indiana, and there were some question marks, would he play or not? Oh, he played. And he played all the way through the national championship game when he was still banged up for Notre Dame. Didn't shut it down, didn't play it safe, didn't want to protect his body for his draft stock. He is absolutely nasty. Malik, Google, if you see if you can find Jeremiah Love spin move versus Pitt. He had one of these kind of joystick type of plays where you see it and it's like, oh, yeah, here. I mean, this thing went viral.
Yeah.
This is the thing that has NFL scouts salivating. It's like, right there. So and he maintains his balance. He would score on this play. I know the spin move was probably like.
I thought this one and Braxton Miller.
And look at him
probably
separate.
The two. Oh, bro, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I thought was so interesting about this kid too? And I heard it late and I didn't know. And if I'm misquoting it, forgive me, because if you don't want to put this on a guy if he doesn't have it. But I heard he's on the spectrum. Really? I heard that Jeremiah Love is on the spectrum, and I actually love it. Like, I think it's a great example for people who feel like they might be hampered by certain things. Again, I would do some research on it, but I heard that his family never got a formal diagnosis, but doctors, when he was young, thought that. what you see a lot of times in people like that is they do find that one thing that they gravitate towards, and they just get great at it. And to Jeremiah Love, it appears to be football, because Jeremiah Love is outrageous. He's a student of the game. He shows up every day, gets his work done. If that is true, then shout to Jeremiah Love, who has this and never let it stop him from anything. And he's going to go on to a long, successful career. And he's going to give some other kid out there somewhere who thinks maybe this is a hindrance, the hope and the belief that I can do this too, you know?
Totally agree. So we're on the same page there. All right, number 5.
You got it?
New York Giants.
You got it? It's your team. Let's do it.
What, you can go.
All right, so I have, and this one's a bit of a tricky one because you don't pick guys in this position this early. I like Caleb Downs. Ooh. I like Caleb Downs because it looks like they're going to lose Dexter Lawrence, which is going to be a major hit to that defense. So how do you go and fix that? You get an anchor who I think is going to be a 10-year captain. I think that's the guy I want, guiding my defense for the next 10 years. I think Caleb Downs is awesome, and I think how much further can he slide if he's gone, or I think another option there might be Francis Mauigoa from down here, because I think a nice tackle prospect in a draft that they don't have. Like, there's not a sure shot tackle on the board this year, right?
Right.
But he would be probably my first one to go, and I think. But I think Downs is too good to pass on.
He's got football in his blood, too. His brother, Josh Downs, his dad was a teammate of mine, Gary Downs, with the New York Giants. So, yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see that. I do not have the Giants taking Caleb Downs. I am going with the guy you just mentioned, Francis Mauigoa, the tackle from Miami.
Okay.
I think when you look at the development of Jackson Dart, bringing in John Harbaugh, and I know John Harbaugh is a defensive mind, but I think you've got to prioritize Jackson Dart and making sure that his tackle spot is locked down. And there is some debate. There's some other players here that could be the top tackles taken. I don't know, and I don't know if the Giants think Francis Mauigoa is the number 1, but I would have them taking a tackle. He's my number 1. Again, got to see him in person. He is a physical specimen.
Okay.
He played for Mario Cristobal, who's done a phenomenal job developing offensive linemen as a former offensive lineman himself and a former offensive lineman coach. So I'll say the Giants shore up the offensive line with Mauigoa.
And my question for you, obviously, he does have an injury history, but they do have a not Francis. I'm saying Andrew Thomas, who's 27 years old, and he is a stalwart for the Giants, one of the best offensive tackles in the league when he's on the field. He's still there. Do you see Francis staying at left, or they move him, or what's the deal?
That's a great question. I think it probably depends on how they view Andrew Thomas. And do you move the veteran potentially as opposed to the rookie? But I think Francis Mauigoa is more of an athlete or athletic enough to make that transition. Yeah, for sure.
You saw them try to do that with Evan Neal a couple of years ago. He did a little bit better at guard, but
that's one where it's just if it's not working out at tackle, like guard's a lot easier to play. Not to say the guard's an easy position, but it's a lot easier than playing tackle.
I got you.
All right, number 6, I've got the Cleveland Browns on the board. What direction are you going?
So that's where I have Francis Mauigoa going for the offensive tackle from Miami. Obviously, guys, QB situation has been a Achilles heel for Cleveland for 25 years, right? Their leaders in the clubhouse right now is Deshaun Watson coming off a big-time injury and Shedeur Sanders. But either way, keeping whomever is under there upright is going to be of vital importance. So I think grabbing the best tackle in the draft is probably the move. There's no short. Again, I said it earlier. There's no sure thing at tackle in this draft. There's no Joe Alt type prospect.
Right.
There's no guy like that. That's a sure thing. But I think Mauigoa is about as best as it gets. And again, you got to solve the puzzle of keeping your quarterback upright in Cleveland. So I go Francis.
I like it. I'm going to go a different direction.
Okay, I like that.
It's interesting because I was having a debate today how many Ohio State players go in the top 10.
Nuts. It's so crazy.
I'll go Carnell Tate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wide receiver for the Browns.
Okay.
You mentioned they do have to do a better job protecting the quarterback. We saw Shedeur last year getting killed. If it's Deshaun Watson, whoever's playing quarterback, they have been able to run the football pretty good, but they also need a weapon to throw to. And Carnell Tate is a big physical prospect. And if there's a position that you're going to draft at Ohio State that you feel most secure about, I mean, it has become wide receiver you.
It's literally what I have.
And I think a lot of that has to do 2 things. One, Brian Hartline, who now left. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do post Brian Hartline as their receiver coach, then his offensive coordinator last year. He took the head job at South Florida. Brian Hartline, great job recognizing talent and then developing it. Like all the guys, because it's one thing to get 4 and 5 stars there, but it's another thing to get them prepared and into the league.
Yeah.
And with the run that we've seen of Ohio State receivers under Brian Hartline, that tree is pretty special.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm going to say it's going to be too much of a temptation for the Browns, and they do want to get Carnell Tate there. So I'll go wide receiver for the Browns.
Yeah, and looking into the Browns depth chart, yeah, that thing is what's the word we're looking for? Empty.
Yes.
That's an empty cupboard right there.
Yes.
We're looking at Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Isaiah Bonds. So, yeah, a guy like Carnell Tate who catches everything thrown to him. He's a real good, high-character guy.
Yep.
Lost his mom, actually, in the last, year or two in the middle of the season. He was able to push through, so he showed some mental toughness there. Yeah, that's a great pick, I think. And that's why I have him going to the next team in Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, I have him going 7. You said it, man. Ohio State. It's so crazy because them and LSU are just so, they're such factories of wide receivers. But you said it. Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Emeka Egbuka, Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin. The list goes on and on with these Ohio State receivers. I have Carnell Tate, the best wideout in the draft. And I think he helps Jaden Daniels get back to his rookie form. Hopefully Jaden is healthy this year. That's going to be a big deal. But if he looks anything like he looked as a rookie,
Yep.
Yeah, having Carnell Tate out there is going to be essential to making that happen.
Okay, so I think I agree with your sentiment, but I can't take Carnell Tate because he's off the board.
He is off the board.
I had him taking number 6 to the Browns.
Gotcha.
I have another receiver on here that I like a lot.
Okay.
And I think this is an interesting position because I don't think there's a consensus. You and I both like Tate. There's a lot of debate over who the top wide receiver is.
100%.
I'll go with Mekhi Lemon out of USC.
Okay.
Even with the... Yeah, I'm going to give you some more good wide receiver play. I mean, it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen at the Combine when he was giving that interview. I think, did we talk about that on here?
I think we glossed over it, man. I don't think we knew what to say.
If you go Mekhi Lemon, there it is. There, give it to me. Yeah, here it is.
I'd probably say Amon-Ra St. Brown, type of grit he plays with, type of way he can have a positive impact, on the team without the ball in his hands.
Yeah, give me that the head down, eyes up. That's his good comp.
Well, his mannerisms are weird, but I like what he said. You know what I mean?
And guess what? That's who most draft experts have compared him to, as Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Who's an awesome
player, by the way. Commanders with Luke McCaffrey, Treylon Burks, and Terry McLaurin. Love Terry McLaurin. But they need another weapon. Luke McCaffrey, I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick. And he's been good. Treylon Burks has been good. But they need somebody. If they can throw Mekhi Lemon in the slot, he is a joystick type of player that you can have an absolute field day with. And I think Jaden Daniels would love either one of these picks to have another weapon to work with.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think we both have the same position. I think it's time you get him some help out there. I think, and this kind of leads me into my number 8 overall in New Orleans, where I literally have Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson. I think I go Jordan Tyson. I think I was a little spooked by the Mekhi Lemon thing, man. I don't know what he's like as a person. I did hear he interviewed horribly. So the fact that he interviewed horribly, more times than not, I don't really care a ton about that. But my first round pick, you're going to have a lot of pressure on you. There's going to be real high expectations on you. I need to know that you're able to keep it together and be there for me mentally. So I'm going to go Jordan Tyson. I think Jordan Tyson has the potential to be special. He's had some injuries in college that I think really set him back. But I think Tyler Shuck deserves some help down there. I think Lemon's a little risky at 8. He didn't interview well, as I said. I think the more confident pick is Jordan Tyson at wide receiver for number 8 in New Orleans. And that's my pick.
I like it. By the way, Tyler Shuck was awesome.
He was good, right?
Yeah.
Better than I thought he'd be for sure.
Yeah. I'll hop on that bandwagon. I could see that happen. I'll go with the same pick as you got.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Jordan Tyson, by the way, you know who his coach was at Arizona State?
Tell me.
Hines Ward.
Was that right?
Yeah. Hines Ward is actually going to Pittsburgh to support his guy. He was talking about how he wanted to be there to kind of enjoy the moment with him. He's been there coaching him up, similar to what we're saying about Ohio State wide receivers. And you are 1,000% right. Had a hamstring this past year. Kind of throughout his career, he's had some injury stuff that he's been plagued with. And if you want to set up Tyler Shuck, who last year was a surprise, people, I remember when everybody thought, oh, there's Shador, and it wasn't Shador. It was Tyler Shuck. He played awesome. To give him another weapon out there would be awesome. This was a spot, too, where Who did they sign Kenneth Walker III? Is that who they brought in as running
the
back?
Chiefs signed Kenneth Walker.
Who was the Saints paid a big running back? I forget who it was.
Yes,
because
you're right.
I thought they might potentially go after Jeremiah Love, and the fact that the Chiefs signed a running back and the Saints, I was like, oh, everybody kind of knows Jeremiah Love is going to be off the board at this time. Yeah.
Well, they obviously they signed Travis Etienne.
Yeah. So that was the running back
Travis
they paid.
H.N. as he says.
Yes.
He says it's now Travis H.N.
Yes.
All right.
That's right. So Jordan Tyson there.
All right, so we agree on that one. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let me just clarity because I wasn't sure. Hines Ward, position coach or head coach out at Arizona State?
Position coach.
Position coach?
Yeah, position coach.
He was a head coach, I think, in the UFL for a little bit.
Yeah, he's been trying to get into the coaching ranks, and he did it the UFL or XFL. I don't know which.
Dude, he's what a great guy to model your game after, right?
Totally.
Best blocking receiver ever. That tells me a lot about a receiver too.
Yeah.
If I'm looking into a receiver, I want to know how good he blocks. If he's not Randy Moss, If you're not a physical freak like that, I want to know how hard you block because that tells me what kind of team guy you are.
Yep.
I love that. Good.
All right, next pick, number 9, the Chiefs, your squad. I know where I'm going. We might be on the same page with this one.
All right, take us home. Let me see. Tell me.
You don't want to go?
Nah, go for it.
All right, I'll go. How old's Travis Kelce?
He's old enough to
He's old enough
to take the words off my page.
All right, Kenyon Sadiq. Kenny Sadiq at Oregon.
Yeah.
I've heard him compared to George Kittle as sort of a similar style of linebacker. Again, I mentioned I was down at the Orange Bowl, talked to Texas Tech, also talked to Kenyon Sadiq, saw him in person. My man is absolutely, look at this, look at his pipes. Are you kidding me? His calves. The dude is a physical specimen. He runs great routes. He's also a good run blocker. And if you're going to have somebody to mentor you and give Patrick Mahomes another weapon, we've seen the importance of tight end across the NFL in general. But when they lost Tyreek Hill, I was very concerned for the Chiefs. I was like, uh-oh. You saw that the importance was really was Travis Kelce's ability to get vertical down the middle of the field and kind of help the receivers on the outside. But I think Kenyon Sadiq would be perfect for Andy Reid's offense and the Chiefs and what they want to do.
I mean, word for word, I couldn't have said it better. Guys, Patrick needs this. Patrick deserves this. Get this man in Kansas City. I have the same pick. Kenyon Sadiq. I love that Bieniemy's back. I think Travis Kelce made his bones under Eric Bieniemy, and that's where he became one of the greatest tight ends of all time. To be able to throw him into that mix is going to be awesome. He's a 4.39. He's a 43.5-inch vertical, and he's an 11.1 broad. So he gives me like Vernon Davis type vibes.
Yeah.
But as you said, he's a more polished route runner. So I love that. I mean, this guy's incredible. I think he's about 245, and to be that big and move that fast, he's got a great, like you said, he's got a great mentor to kind of make that transition easy. Trav signed a 3-year deal. I don't think anyone thinks he plays 3 more.
Right.
I think if they play really well and he feels really good, maybe 2 tops, right? And
but you know what I could see Andy Reid doing? Putting them both out there at the same time. Run a little 11 personnel, put them both out there at tight end.
Well, I think that's been the idea the last couple of years, but the guys that they've had there, the Noah Grays, they were there, had a ceiling. They never really made the jump to where I think they hoped that they would get. This is going to be awesome. Travis been getting a lot of freak playmakers in the first early rounds, but they tend to be like 136 pounds. Xavier Worthy can fly, but he's so small and he's been injured and unable to stay on the field. Rashee Rice has been in his own little trouble, and then he's been injured and unable to stay on the field. This guy is a DC comic come to life. So let's get him on the field. Let's see what Pat can do with him. I'm pumped, man.
All
I can't wait.
I got a trivia question for you.
Go ahead.
2 questions, actually. One, I don't know. What do you think Travis Kelce, because he ran a 4.3940. Kenyon Sadiq did. Okay. What do you think Kelce ran at the combine?
Well, he was way smaller. My guess would be he used to be a quarterback. I say Travis Kelce ran a 4.68.
4.61.
4.61.
Yeah, so
that's
right there.
Not bad. That's
what do
good.
You think he runs now?
5.61. no.
But I bet he's running like a 4.9. But it shows you speed is not the end all be all.
Well, Trav's game is quick twitchy speed, right?
Right.
And we call it glitchy speed. It's about quick twitchy speed bursts in small spaces, and then the ability to just see the game the same as your quarterback is so vital. We had that kid Dan Villari on from Syracuse a couple of weeks ago, and Dan's a quarterback at Michigan turned tight end at Syracuse, right? And we talked about the ability to play the game through a quarterback's eyes and be able to see, it doesn't matter how fast you are. If I have inside leverage on you and you know I'm breaking out, and my quarterback knows, it doesn't matter how much faster you are than me. If I'm going over there and you don't know I'm going over there,
right.
I win.
The thing that is so impressing me with Kelce, and really it has to do with Mahomes and him, the chemistry they have.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where you just know where to get open. You know how to get open. You know where to get open. You know kind of the soft spots versus zone.
Yeah.
You know how to set up a guy when he's in man coverage, how to use the, shift speeds and start slower and then speed up. It's just That to me is his knack, which made him so special.
And what I think is so interesting is what you're saying is actually something that can, I guess, be taught and built through. They seem like they go completely off the grid.
Yeah.
Like Pat Mahomes will say,
Playground.
oh, yeah, I seen him out there, and he had no business going over the top to the middle of the field, but I just had a hunch he was going to do it, and they throw it there.
It's like
and
a sixth sense.
Dude, it is crazy because it defies every law you're ever taught. But I guess playing with a guy that long, you end up kind of speaking the same language. Do you ever have a guy that you play? I mean, the longest you've played probably with the same group is Florida State.
Yeah, but
and did you have any wideouts that were there for like 3 years where you're like, oh, this is so much different than when we started?
My man, Andre Cooper. I had a big guy. He was Mr. Florida in basketball. He was an incredible basketball player. Awesome. He was 6'1", 6'2", but long and lanky.
Okay.
I had the best feel for him throwing the fade route.
And how long did it take you guys to get that?
Well, we came in together, so we were the same class. We just had a knack and just kind of knew where he was going to be. He could adjust to the ball, great. And I don't want to say we invented it, but the back shoulder throw.
Take it, man.
Like we really perfected the back shoulder throw and had a good knack for when not to throw the back shoulder. Like you can't plan the back shoulder throw. Yeah. But he had super long arms, and he wasn't, I don't know what his vertical was, but he would always outjump the DB.
Well, if you're a basketball player and you have super long arms, it doesn't really matter what your vert is, right? And a lot of these guys understand positioning, right?
Yeah. The only thing I'm a little bit mad about, Andre Cooper.
Yeah.
My last bowl game against Notre Dame. I threw 4 touchdown passes.
Okay.
3 of them were to Andre Cooper.
Okay.
He got the MVP of the game.
Oh,
because he had 3 touchdown catches.
You know
That's
what?
kind of messed up.
That's
I didn't have any problem with it whatsoever. He deserved it. He was awesome. He's
Did
a great
Andre
dude.
Cooper play at the next level?
I don't think he really ever caught on. I don't think he ever really caught on. It was funny because a lot of the receivers I played with, we didn't really have a Randy Moss or somebody you would think would be like a top first round pick. There he is. Got a little bit of time with the Broncos.
Well, the thing about your school is, too, that guys don't need to be there 3 years a lot of times, right? They may come in, obviously.
The closest thing I had in the NFL was Chris Callaway. You remember Chris Callaway? He was a little slot receiver on third down, and he was really good. I could trust him and knowing where to get open with the football.
Yeah.
And he was not the fastest guy. He was not the biggest guy. And talk about, running routes and utilizing his speed kind of in getting, finding nooks in the defense, and just I could put it anywhere in his vicinity. He was awesome.
Did you have Amani up there when you were there?
So that's the 2 things that really bothered me. One, Amani Toomer was with me, and Tiki Barber.
Oh.
But both of them were hurt.
Oh.
So they both got hurt early in my career, and then after I got cut and left was when they kind of took off and started to take over.
Would have been some great security blankets, huh?
Yeah. I know, you're not kidding.
2 great players.
All right, on to the number 10 pick, the Cincinnati Bengals. What you got?
I have a guy who is in our backyard who I think a couple of months ago we thought would never slip down here. But he's been incredibly productive. His tape is great. I think the only question is the arm length, which I'd love to hear about. Look, Cincinnati needs defense. Trey Hendrickson is gone, and I think they replace him by going to get Reuben Bain Jr., stud out of Miami. What do you think?
Same pick. I have the exact same spot. So we're in total agreement on this one. I think he was one of the most productive pass rushers that's out there. And if you couldn't measure his arms, which is crazy, you should just have to watch the film, right? Just if you put on the game tape and see the impact he's had on the game, you'd be like, oh, that's the best pass rusher in college football. But the reality is there is history, and they have stats, and they track this type of info. The edge rushers with shorter arms have not had much success. They get swallowed up by the offensive tackles in the NFL. I'm not worried about it. Melvin Ingram is probably the closest thing. Elvis Duverville, I think you brought that name up. Somebody who's not that long of arms out there, has had a tremendous amount of success, but his ability to impact games. I mean, that's a pick on the outside where he recovers after the fact.
Freak.
I love some of these plays that are highlight, gets off the block really fast, closing speed is off the charts, and he is scary to talk to, which I think is exactly what you want from an edge rusher.
Well, first thing he did that I loved is he came to the combine without a cut.
Yeah.
When you show up to the combine without a cut,
he reminds me of Debo from Friday.
Right.
That's what he reminds me of.
When you show up to the combine without a fresh cut, you're telling me, guys, I'm all business.
Yeah.
I'm here for football. I'm not here to look good. I don't care how this goes. I'm here without a cut. My beard looks a little crazy. Malik, I know you guys are magic back there. Can you get a picture of his bend? And I know this sounds a little crazy.
Yeah.
But this is something that scouts are really, really keen on with him. So despite his short arms, he gets around the edge at some ridiculous angle. Look at that.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. And when I think generally
He's not falling down.
No. There's a quote. It's kind of cliche. They always say low man wins. I mean, they don't get much lower than that under control. You know,
No.
he's not falling right there. He is that low around the edge, and that's going to make it tough for a tackle who is 6'5", 6'6", to really get down there and be just disruptive of him. So
The other thing too, if it doesn't work out off the edge, I think he can move inside.
how much do you weigh?
It's a good question.
Find it. That's
Shoot,
lazy of
he's
me.
270.
Sorry.
You should see his lower half. His lower half is so thick. But he even played some inside at Miami because they would put Mesidor on the edge.
Oh,
they put them
Mesidor's
both
awesome
on the
too.
same side, and they would play Mesidor off the edge, put Ruben Bain inside. So I think you can do that if it doesn't work out. The other thing that I do need to bring up, because it was big news, it might have been Monday this week, was there was a car accident that he was involved in at Miami, which surprised. It was 2 years ago. I don't know how this didn't come out at the time, but there was a young woman in the car with him. He was behind the wheel. She eventually ended up dying. Like, it's a really tragic story that came out there. But, you know, I know it was late at night. It was 4 a.m., but he was not involved. There was not drinking involved. It was he got a citation for reckless driving, which I think you have to give something if there's an accident. Like, you have to write some sort of ticket. So unfortunately, I think that's exactly what it was. And the other thing I've been told from people that I've talked to is that the NFL teams have been aware of this since December. So it's not like a shock to them where it's, we have to scramble to do our due diligence. I'm sure he's been asked about this throughout the draft process, and I don't think it'll impact his draft stock.
I mean, he's in our backyard, man. To be able to make it through Miami and be a star during this team's resurgence and never hear a bad word about the kid and his character, it sucks for this to come out right before, you know. But I know this is like a
I think the company, I forget, I'll look it up, who broke the story.
Yeah.
I think that's what they do. I think they look for
TMZ?
dirt on players. No, it was kind of similar. One of these kind of random sites that look it up.
That's so frustrating.
So we've mentioned some of these other players who have been coached by incredible NFL players. That, to me, is another aspect. You know who his coach was at Miami?
Yes. Was it Warren Sapp? No,
Jason Taylor.
Oh, Jason Taylor.
Jason
Jeez,
Taylor.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah, and like, so you talk about just the ability to, and remember I talked about David Bailey being a pro when you talk to him.
Yeah.
For Ruben Bain and Mesidor and every player that we've talked about, to get to talk to a guy like Jason Player every day.
Yeah.
And for him to teach these players what it's like to prepare, not to go out there and play on game day. Like, that's one aspect of it. But how do you prepare? How do you get ready in the offseason, in the practice week, and then even on game day leading up to the game? I think that type of insight is invaluable. Like, I don't think you can put a price tag on that. So I think he's had exceptional coaching there at Miami from Jason Taylor. And the sky's the limit for what he could do.
Yeah, and in an age where guys are actually getting paid so much to go to college, you almost think they may lose a little bit of that respect that they might have once had for a position coach in school. That's one guy you come in and his resume speaks for itself. You walk in the D-line room the first day, drop that sucker right down on the table and say, guys, follow what I tell you. You know what I mean?
Yep. So neither one of us had any trades in our draft. There definitely will be some. We don't know how they'll go.
I've heard of a couple.
Yeah.
I mean, the godfather of the draft released his last, which is kind of interesting because it's so far out from the draft. He released his last one today. He has the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns making a trade. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
He thinks the Cowboys right now are in a place where they have to go all in.
Well,
and they're one move away.
Yeah, they could be. One of the we'll see if this is broken by any newsbreakers out there, but somebody that probably will not break it is Dianna Russini. Like that transition there, who is no longer with The Athletic, her employer, as she released a statement after the scandal that broke last week with her and Mike Vrabel at Sedona. She put out this statement, saying, hey, I don't want to, basically what she was saying is, I'm resigning. I don't want to go through the investigation. I want this to end. I'm tired of people speculating and talking about it and seeing the internet. I also think it was interesting that she said her contract is up June 30th. So she's saying, I don't want this to come out before, I don't think she wants the investigation because I think she's worried about what it'll uncover.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big where there's smoke, there's fire person. And when we've heard this 3 times now, I mean, there's 3 instances that we know of. Makes me think there has to be more instances that we don't know of, right? So I think a couple of things. I think, we're a very forgiving society. As bad as this is, and as, as scandalous as it may be, I think her resigning now, going and keeping quiet for a little while, letting things quiet down rather than her being fired. I think a big part of that reason, I think it was strategic that she put the date there because she'll be a free agent herself and on June 30th. So maybe you let this blow over for a year and somewhere along the line she catches back on with somebody else.
Yep.
But you know what, guys? I think a lot of the question right now is, How is it fair that Dianna Russini is forced to resign and Mike Vrabel allowed to go on about his merry way? And guys, I think where the big issue arises, and Danny, you can speak to this, is I don't think in any way is Mike Vrabel's job performance compromised by this. Is it a bad look? It's a terrible look. Do I feel horrible for Mike Vrabel's wife? I feel horrible for her. Do I think it's hard to lead men and tell them? Because if I get a sense of Mike Vrabel, I get the sense of him is, that's terrible English. I get the sense that he's like an accountability, do the right thing, show up every day, set a good example. And when that's what you're doing, outside of the building, very tough to kind of carry that on. But at the end of the day, Mike Vrabel as the head coach of the New England Patriots has been a success, and his work in no way is impacted by this. The same can't be said for Dianna Russini, who now, her work is compromised by what she's been doing.
Right. See that I think you nailed it spot on. Both of them, if the reports are true, they're both guilty of adultery, right? I mean, that's the sin that's here, is then they've both screwed up majorly as far as their marriages goes and their personal life, and they're the same. They should be treated the same. Like, if we're going to criticize Dianna Russini for making this mistake, we should criticize Mike Vrabel. Yeah. But when it comes to the workplace, that's where there's a massive difference. And you started to see some of the reports that she was getting from Mike Vrabel and potentially from others that the way she received that information was unscrupulous, right? It was there's definitely some questionable ethics there as far as from a journalist perspective. So then her work as a journalist becomes compromised. Yeah. There is nothing in here that compromises Mike Vrabel's ability to be the head coach of the New England Patriots and coach them to a Super Bowl again this season. That is a massive difference. Everyone in every workplace, there is nobody that's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, and everybody should be given second chances. But there are some mistakes that you make in one occupation that'll cost you their job, while in another, they won't. And I think that's the difference. And for people to say there's a double standard, it just makes no sense to me whatsoever. They're completely different job descriptions. And I do I saw there was a report out that inside the Patriots locker room, there's a sign up that says, do the right thing every day, and that Mike Vrabel likes to hold his players accountable and that he possibly could lose the respect of his players. I don't think so. I think the players can separate, and I think the players, some of them will judge Mike Vrabel and say, man, I can't believe, he stepped out on his wife. But I still think his ability as their head coach will not be hindered at all. I don't think he's going to lose the respect of his locker room because he was out there in Sedona, at a resort with another woman. And it's just a reality. I just don't think the players care very much.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Unfortunately, as much as it is, it does suck. It may not be fair if we start just, having NFL players keep jobs based upon how they act as, people and, members of society. Unfortunately, a lot of the guys that you watch every weekend aren't always doing the right thing, and it sucks.
Now, this is kind of a weird analogy, but let's say he was hooking up with somebody that worked for the Miami Dolphins, some woman that was, or, somebody else's wife that was on that team and she was getting information. Then I think it's a whole nother story, that's becomes a compromise to your ability to do the job. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think two completely different things. Again, as you said, man, I think it compromises the integrity of the work on one side. It does not do that on the other side. And that's why the decision to resign had to happen on Dianna Rossini's end, where Mike Vrabel's allowed to carry on in his profession.
All right, let's squeeze in a little NBA and WNBA conversation. The play-in game last night between Charlotte and Miami, which is off the charts. Drama was out there, but the play that has got everybody's attention is one involving Bam Adebayo and LaMelo Ball. Let's have a little look at the replay because I'm curious to get yours. A lot of people saying it was a dirty play from LaMelo, who did end up to hit the winning shot, right? And Bam Adebayo had to leave the game after this contact that was taking place. Ball gets tripped up. He comes down on the ground. You can see his arm kind of grabbing at Bam Adebayo's foot. He kind of falls over awkwardly, leaves the game. What did you make?
Well,
fair or unfair?
Well, I think first of all, you got to separate the game from this incident. The game itself, man, it was off the charts. The game was fantastic. It's exactly what the NBA wants these play-in games to be. 17 ties, 16 lead changes. It goes to overtime, and a LaMelo. I mean, look, guys, if you're familiar with LaMelo Ball, you got the whole LaMelo Ball experience last night, right? Good and bad. Now, LaMelo Ball, he's erratic. He's out of control sometimes, but you can see he's open. He's one of those guys where they say shooters shoot. It doesn't matter. He's not fazed by it. The problem is on this play in the second quarter, LaMelo Ball appears to grab the ankle of Bam Adebayo. It cost Bam Adebayo the game, and in turn, it may have cost the Miami Heat the season, which absolutely sucks. The issue is, actually, I don't even think that the move looks super egregious. I think he put his hands up. I think, it wasn't clean. I don't think. The problem is we're starting to enter Grayson Allen and Joel Embiid and Draymond Green territory where he's a repeat offender.
Right.
This isn't just his first incident of tripping this year. It's a second incident of tripping Bam Adebayo this year. So it's becoming he's a repeat offender where you don't end up getting that benefit of the doubt, as you might have gotten beforehand. Like you said, LaMelo Ball is an interesting player, man. I think LaMelo Ball, of all the players in the league, is probably the poster boy for what the NBA is right now. To me, I think he's kind of like a glory hound. Like, this dude pulled up at the end of the game from like a foot inside of the logo and threw a ball that barely grazed the front rim, but he grabbed his stones and he went for a layup with 4/10 left and he nailed it. So, like I said, you got the full LaMelo experience. Do I think it was grimy? Do I think it cost the Heat? Dearly. And for that now,
so I think this also is amplified by the game.
Okay.
It's a play-in game. It's a huge game. The whole country's watching.
Definitely.
There's not a lot to react to. So it's on every, we're seeing this clip where if it's a regular season game, I think because it's LaMelo, it might get some attention, but because of the impact of what was at stake in this game, everybody's now hypersensitive and you're really breaking this down and saying, oh, exactly what it was. I think a lot of players would do the same reaction. Like if there's an interaction, you're falling down. Even the other one where LaMelo gets tripped, like he got tripped up by Bam. He tripped on his foot. There's contact, so he's kind of like, hey, and he stuck his arm out and tripped him on the way out. The one last night where he kind of reaches out, and it's just, I think it's part of the game. I think some players may not do it, but I would say more than 50% of NBA players probably would have had some similar reaction. Now, the most unfortunate thing is, I don't think he meant to hurt him. Right. I think he was just probably like trying to get back at him. Like, you can't swing on somebody because he'll get kicked out, but you kind of want some sort of revenge aspect. And it's human nature in that moment with what's at stake. You just made a drive to the basket, or he did, and there's a lot of contacts. You just kind of put your arm out, and then you act like I didn't do anything. Yeah. I think NBA players do that all the time.
Yeah. I think, like you said, it's a perfect marriage of a whole bunch of bad things. And I think if it was the first time that it happened with LaMelo Ball, it probably would have, dimmed some of the flame a little bit. If it wasn't Bam Adebayo, I think it would have been a little bit of a less. Like, there's not too many superstars on the Miami Heat. Who's their superstar?
Right.
Bam Adebayo.
Right.
Bam Adebayo, who just scored 80 points in a game a couple of weeks ago, comes out of a must-win game.
Points.
That's for another day. It's for another day, my boy. But I'm saying, if somebody else comes out of the game in a play, like, this is a win-or-go-home game. Like, his not being there for 2.5 quarters severely impacts a game that goes to 1 point in overtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to imagine that if Bam Adebayo plays the last, 28 minutes of this game, they maybe don't go to overtime if it's a tie game and a 1 point game at the end. So I think the player that did it has multiple offenses. The player that it happened to is the best player on the Heat. He's one of the 2 or 3 best fives in the league. And like you said, it was on national TV. And it was a perfect marriage, a perfect storm of like great stuff for the league and bad stuff for LaMelo. And then look, he winds up, that's another thing, man. You have 15 bad. We talk to athletes all the time about, guys, it's a 4-quarter game.
Yep.
You could have 3 bad quarters, shoot the ball shoot the ball from the logo and miss with a couple of seconds left. You can injure the best player on the other team doing something silly, but go back and now people are going to remember the layup that you hit to send your team to the next round.
No doubt. All right. I know you were dialed into the WNBA draft earlier this week. I know you were dialed into every single pick, but I did want to hit on the first pick overall. AZ Fudd, who played at UConn, phenomenal player for UConn. They came up just short of a national team. 1 loss on the season, eliminated there by South Carolina. She is the number 1 overall pick by the Dallas Wings. Now, why are we talking about this? Because her significant other, her girlfriend, is Paige Beckers, who is another phenomenal player at UConn, where they were teammates, and they are together. They are very much a couple. I think a year ago, right around this time, I think it was right before the WNBA draft, is kind of when they went public with their relationship. Now they will be teammates once again. So for these two, it is kind of back to normal. Like, they will be reunited. What did you make of the selection from the Dallas Wings? And what do you think of, from where I go to on this one, hey, people in their personal lives allowed to do whatever they want to do, right? I just think of the dynamics as a coach, or even teammates. I've played on teams that you had guys that were going through personal issues. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was an argument. Maybe it was their girlfriend cheated on them. and it would throw them all for a loop. I mean, you can see guys it would impact their play on the field. What happens if these two have an argument? What happens if they have a fight? What happens if one of them cheats on the other? Is anybody worried about that aspect of it? I mean, I know they're not the first couple to be teammates in the WNBA, so it is a league that has dealt with this before, but it is such a unique circumstance that to me, that's my first mindset is go, man, how unique would that to coach a couple that's playing?
Well, high-level sport, what separates at that level, man, these are both #1 overall picks. A lot of times it's the ability to do the mental stuff that separates the best from the best, right? You said everything that needed to be said, except that it has to be picked up and put into a different compartment. You said, I know guys who at home are going through divorces, guys who've cheated on their wives, guys who this. A lot of us utilize sports as our getaway. Like, that's where we go to get that mental respite from the craziness that's going on. What if I picked up all the bad crap that's going on in your life and I dropped it right in your locker? And then I said, some of this might happen. Like guys got girl problems, but we usually can keep our girl problems outside the locker room. When girls start having girl problems in the locker room, which is inevitable, they're going to get into a fight. They're going to break up. And it's not like one is a role player who's the 13th girl on the bench and the other is the star player where one of them becomes expendable. This is the #1 overall pick in this draft versus and the #1 overall pick in last draft. Look, I don't know, man. I can't fathom a world where somebody, and again, you said it yourself, I don't care about your personal life at all.
Right.
As somebody who's a man of faith, I should probably care more than I do when it comes to stuff like this, but I don't. You know, I want people to be happy, to each their own, but this starts to kind of jump over that line into where now I can't think of a world where my left tackle and my right guard are pissed at each other because
somebody left the toilet seat up or whatever.
Or my left tackle is pissed at my right guard because the running back made a move on him. And I'm like, what is happening right now? This could just be too crazy for me.
You said, players go to work, in sports to get away from, sometimes their personal life. I think people go to work in general. Seriously, I think it's hard to have, I'm sure that I don't know, but I'm sure there are some married couples maybe that both work here at Valuetainment or other companies, at CBS Sports where I work or Sirius XM.
Yep.
I think that dynamic is hard, because that's one of the things that my wife probably appreciates is we do get time away from each other. Yeah. Like when I go to work, it's time away from her. When she goes and does her thing, she's time away from me. Some people, that dynamic works great. There's been some couples that have started business together, and it works awesome. Yeah. Maybe that's what happens here. Yeah. But there's also been some that it costs them their marriages, and in those instances, maybe it costs them the business, and the business fails. I think that's the one thing that I'm curious to see how the Dallas Wings manage this. And I don't know. It's a weird dynamic that the Dallas Wings will now have to monitor. And Gino Auriemma was able to monitor it, and they've had a tremendous amount of success at UConn together.
And at the same time, there are other temptations that now enter the equation that these girls have to deal with. Not on top of being in the same locker room all day, every day, they now have to deal with increased contracts. So there's money issues, right? Yeah. Money is a thing now. So check this out. How weird is that? That AZ Fudd is the #1 overall pick in a year where girls are getting paid $500,000.
I think she's making 3 times what Paige Beckers was
weird,
making.
right?
Yeah.
Then there's celebrity. There's always the temptation to being a celebrity. You were the quarterback in New York City. Granted, now you're a husband and a father and all that is behind you, but I can't imagine the stuff that was thrown your way, and especially if you're the #1 overall pick in the draft. These are temptations that come with other things. So these girls are going to have to fight the challenge of becoming professional athletes, doing it publicly, and doing it in a public relationship. So they have a whole bunch of things sort of working against them in a time where you really want them to be able to lock in on the game and lock in on being the best players they can. Maybe they're able to do that. Great athletes are. We saw guys like Kobe go through things and lock in and be the best player you've ever seen. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting, though, the first time we hear a story leak that on a road trip, some girl went into, I don't know. I don't even want to try to put the, but it's
a unique situation. All right. Ronda Rousey has a big fight coming up, and I know you had a story that you wanted me. I haven't heard this, but set it up for me.
So basically, Ronda Rousey is making the rounds before her fight with Gina Serrano. And if you're familiar with where Ronda Rousey is now, she, I think to myself, has anybody ever gotten it? You say, that guy gets it. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever gotten it less than Ronda Rousey gets it? And Ronda Rousey, if you want to run the clip, you can run the clip. So the clip is basically she's being asked now, you've been out of the game for 10 years. You're 39 now. What is this going to be possible for you? And this is a woman who on CBS may not be aware of what it takes to be a professional. So she's asking the question, and this is the answer Ronda Rousey gives.
charming too, but they're saying, you know, Ronda, you're 39. You think you're ready to get on the mat? 39 is not old.
Yeah, but I never hear John Jones' age being brought up as a disqualifying factor. It's not like my ovaries are fighting.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why are we even talking about this?
I hate that answer so much.
And that brings me back to, has anybody ever gotten it less than Ronda Rousey? Like, she just does not get it, or she pretends not to get it. And I think about, like, there are, like, heels in combat sports. Like, in wrestling, it's a term where it's like somebody you're supposed to dislike, but you want them to be, like, good heels, where you want to see them get their asses kicked, right? So, like, the Floyd Mayweather thing, he was a good heel. Like, people would tune in. Like, we're at the point with Ronda Rousey where we just want her to go away. Like you don't even want to hear her at this point. And she is so bitter towards a sport and a fan base that afforded her such a privileged life that it's just so frustrating at this point. And if you don't get it, Ronda, we'll spell it out for you. I mean, Jones is older, yes, just like you are, but he's fought within the last couple of years. And obviously, making a comeback is more doable that way as an older athlete. As you get older as an athlete, time off is your worst enemy, right? You're approaching a decade now since she fought Amanda Nunes. And Amanda Nunes, to be fair, she mopped her up in about 45 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and guess what? Here's the other thing. This drives, like, are you that disconnected where you don't know? If there was a male athlete up there that was 39 and hadn't fought in 10 years, he would absolutely get asked the same question. And I don't care what sport it is. It's not just MMA. Even LeBron James at this age, people start, and he's not lost it one bit whatsoever. But every single season, it's, can he still do it? Like, it's a question that is completely normal to ask, male or female. And to bring sex in it is incredibly disappointing for Rousey, because I think you would ask this of anybody, regardless, male or female. She's been off for a long time. She's 39. And if it was a dude, they'd be asking the exact same question.
Yeah, the sucky part about it is Ronda Rousey was one of the first female athletes to actually make you forget about sex. Like, it was like...
She was Mike Tyson.
Bro, she came in and, like, in a world where Dana White was like, no, girls will never fight in my federation, because we're not supposed to see girls do that. She genuinely made me forget, oh, these are girls fighting. Like, she was a killer. And they brought her out there like a killer. And for the first 2-3 years of her career, she was an absolute monster. So this is not a man or woman issue. This is always a Ronda Rousey issue. It's always a Ronda Rousey issue at this point. It sucks, man. It's a terrible answer. Like you said, if Tom Brady said tomorrow, you know what? I'm not going to select Fernando Mendoza. I'm going to come back. The first thing is not going to be... that's going to be the first question. You haven't played football in 6 years now. What are we going to do?
You're old. How can you do this? Are you sure you're ready? Absolutely. We've asked the exact same thing. All right, final clip before we get some reactions. I want your reaction to this that I found. Watch this baseball game. Now, this is supposed to be 12U. I don't think it's accurate on the age, because I think they look a little bit older, probably 13, 14 years old. Watch the home run and the aftermath.
The aftermath.
Now keep watching. Not just that. Okay, keep watching. Third base coach, jump bump.
Are there cameramen following them down the...
Yes, I'm glad you noticed that. And there's a coach holding up a backboard so he can dunk it with his celebration after. I cannot stand what is going on in the baseball culture, okay? Now, I get it. I might feel like the old guy in here right now, and I might be the boomer that's got the old man take. But as somebody who was a lifetime baseball player, like, baseball was my first love, I think the game should be played the right way. And I get it. We've tried to embrace more bat flipping, and we were talking about the World Baseball Classic, how there's all these epic celebrations. I get it to a point, and I think there's a time and a place to do it. Like, if you had a walk-off home run to win the World Baseball Classic, by all means, do whatever you want. Go celebrate with your dugout. But whatever happened to sportsmanship, whatever happened to respecting the game, whatever happened with bringing the attention to your teammates, all baseball has become is look at me, and it's become who can do not just the celebration, who can do the biggest celebration, and how can I get it on video, and how can I get it so where there's a cameraman following me on the base paths. He's like on the field, the cameraman's trailing him, watching him. We have lost the plot. We are encouraging kids to be selfish showboaters, and I can't stand it. And I think that's the risk you run, because people have given me a hard time for this for a long time. Even back to the Jose Bautista home run, which he had the bat flip for Toronto. Remember that one? I was like,
yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, well, it was a big moment, but I can get it. And everybody's like, you got to let him celebrate. The problem is everybody tries to outdo everybody in the celebration game, and I think overall it's bad for the sport.
Yeah, this is a matter of too much of anything is not a good thing. It's vitamins, it's training, it's whatever you want to do. Too much of it is not a good thing. Am I okay with a guy flipping a bat out of pure organic emotion? And I think that's where the line is. You know, and I hate it. I watch it in basketball. I watch it in the NFL. I get sickened by the idea that these kids, they're watching the pros do it, first of all. So that's where it starts.
Yep.
But the pros, who have so many other things that they could be doing to be good at what they do, they're spending hours at home in the mirror practicing this stuff. This is what I'm going to do. If I hit a home run, I'm going to swipe this hand, kiss, kiss, kiss.
Yeah.
And it's just the most absurd, ridiculous thing. If it's an organic celebration because you hit the biggest home run of your life, Joe Carter in 1993, where he won the World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays, I love it. Sign me up. I am all in. Awesome home run, awesome organic celebration, and you'll never hear a word from me again. But if that makes us the old guy, man, then count me into the club because I'm the old guy as well. I put a tweet up yesterday. Malik's got it quick. Malik, run that up there real quick.
This is awesome.
I
This
mean,
is one of the
everything.
all-time moments
This
in
is what I
baseball.
would do. He's like, this is a kid's dream. He's up there. He hits the home run that wins the World Series. He's not blowing kisses or dusting himself off. He's just pure emotion and excitement. He's still running the bases, and now he's just jumping around like a madman.
Yeah, it's just pure joy.
That's what it
and
is.
you want to celebrate.
That's what it is.
I posted this video, and I'm blown away. Look at him. He's running around the bases. They got fireworks. He's celebrating, wants to get into his teammates.
That's it.
And they're having an absolute blast.
Yep. And
so
go ahead. Let me see it.
I'm going to read you some of these comments. Let's see. I'll read you a couple of these.
Right. And after this, Malik, I want to have you pull up one short clip that I think is so gangster, and I would love to see it. It's the kind of
Okay, here you go.
It's the opposite of this. Go ahead.
Could it be that the kid is enjoying the sport? You know what else is embarrassing baseball? That's a I can't read that one. It's a little bit racist. But it says sit down and enjoy the show. Like, hey, just be quiet. Why can't they have fun? There's another one. There's I'm trying to find something because there's a lot of people that agree. It's also, here you go. It's always some boring, almost 60-year-old that's always policing fun in baseball. Shut the bleep up and let the kids express themselves and enjoy the game.
What, buddy?
Oh, yeah. I'll put it to you. I'll send it to you so you can pull up some of these comments.
And
but it is.
While you get that from Danny, there was a cool clip yesterday of Aaron Judge, who I think is the most incredible face of the league you could ask for. I put up a tweet about this yesterday. It doesn't have to be mine, but pull the video up real quick, Malik. Aaron Judge hits a home run earlier in the game, okay? They come inside on him on the next at-bat, right? Throw a fastball up and in on him. He looks at it. He understands they're trying to send a message. No big deal. It's part of the game. They do it again. They come back inside on him, right? He looks at the pitcher like, all right, enough. Like, I get it. Enough. And then on the next pitch, he proceeds to deposit one in the left field seats again. And there is no more gangster way to kind of go. He just does it like it's part of my job. This is a guy who's a leader of the New York Yankees who won a batting title and a home run title. He's got the most home runs in American League history. And he just carries on like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I get it, man. I'm okay with people celebrating. But here, Aaron Judge just does his thing. And I think that's so cool. And I think he's such a phenomenal face of the league. I don't know, man. this look at me culture is not for me, I think, man.
Right.
I think if I was like,
That's why I love Judge.
So
Because he could have showed them up.
well, that one there was his first home run. And that thing went 456, which is an absolute rocket.
Right.
And then the cool thing about the second one is it's almost like real recognize real. Because if you pull this next one up, Malik, the second home run, he gets his tower buzz twice. He smokes a home run, and they immediately pan to Mike Trout, who's another all-time great, right? And Mike Trout, you could see him in the outfield like smirk, almost like, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So shout to Aaron Judge, who I think in a time where it's so easy to try to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, there's the up and high.
Bro, hit that home run, shut these idiots up, and you got the respect of the best player of your generation in Mike Trout. And look, here, up inside on him, boom.
Yep.
That's either the first one or the second one.
That was the second one. They showed the first one was wide left, but it was still a wild pitch. Like he might have just gotten away
and
from
then
trying
the
to send
third
a
one,
message.
it's a tie game right near here.
Right.
What's the? I mean, how you could celebrate this? If there was ever a time to celebrate, it's right now. Bottom 8, bang,
right
at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, it's incredible.
Boom, rocket, and
Yeah.
he could
have done
just
cartwheels
jogs
around
it
the
around
bases.
here, and there's Mike Trout like, Damn.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's greatness.
Yep.
You're appreciating greatness.
There it is.
Did Aaron Judge just kind of just tip his cat to
He
him?
does that every time.
I know. I saw him in the first one.
He does it to, he's got like a right field section called the Judge's Chamber.
I want young players to watch this, and this is how it's done. This is one of the best home run hitters in baseball. That is awesome. And the whole team's not there waiting with a basketball hoop till we can dunk through it. I don't blame the kid that we showed the video. I blame the coaches
100%.
and the parents.
100%.
That to me is awful coaching and awful parenting.
100%.
They're the ones that need to be teaching these young players to play the game the right way.
And we're going to say it again, like disclaimer, we are not anti-celebration.
Right.
I am not anti-celebration in any way.
Celebrate with your teammates. That's
Celebrate
what
with
Coach
your
Bowden always
teammates.
told us. Yeah.
And if
you don't have to show up the other team. That's what I think is brutal too. You're showing up the other team.
And if you're practicing and rehearsing it beforehand, I kind of hate it. Like I like organic. Just go ahead and do your thing, man. If it's the most exciting thing that's happened to you in a long time, go be excited. I just hate the idea of props and cameras and look at me. It's just not my style. I don't know.
All right, we are way over time, so we're not gonna have time to break some cards today.
All right,
so
double up next week.
Yeah, we'll double up next week. Let's do some reactions though. Malik, what you got for us?
I mean, come on. Yeah! With the beer snake.
Is that what he's drinking beer?
Yeah, he just threw it right in there. Just chug it in there. That's a great celebration. Now that's fun. That to me, I think it's staged. I think it's natural. UFL trying to get a little excitement. I love that.
Yeah, they do that stuff like that in UFC. Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I saw this dude.
Oh, this is crazy. This guy's
Imagine
crazy.
tackling this dude. I mean, 5'11", 336 pounds.
And he can
You're
move.
talking about leverage.
He can move, too.
Yeah. How are you going to get lower than that dude? I would not want to be a safety coming up to make that tackle, or a linebacker for that matter.
The short time, and you did it too, the short time I played arena football, we had fullbacks built like that. They're like defensive linemen that are like
have to play on the
310, and they
offense.
catch the football, and you're like, oh, crap. You could see people like making business decisions, like, you know what I mean? And by business decision, we mean like, we're going to pretend like we want to tackle you, but we're
going to kind of get one arm out there and let you go by.
Yeah.
That was good fun.
Oh, this is funny.
Yeah, this is good. Ichiro, surprising, looked old.
Did he?
He is old, but maybe it's the silver fox look.
Yeah. I mean, I bet you still put him in there. I bet you still put a ball in the seats,
I think
right?
he could too.
I think he played till like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I haven't
What
seen
a
the
countdown
statue.
from 51 he just said.
Did he really? Yeah. Oh, because it's his number?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe from 5 to 1. And
There you go.
So for anybody at home who knows, like, why this video is funny? So
Why?
what Ichiro did before every at bat is he pointed the bat at the pitcher.
Yeah.
The bat on the statue is like broken or like something about it. So that bat should be like aiming at the pitcher. Instead, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like, that's one of those,
That's pretty good. Yeah, there's
So there it is.
there's the classic.
Oh, yeah.
Andy
Oh, he
pulling
was
up the
so
shirt.
good.
So sick.
This guy, if you don't know, he was so good. He had like 4,000 hits, and he hit 3,000 hits in America alone.
And he never struck out.
No, never.
Never.
And they say that if he would have sacrificed like 30 points on his batting average, could have hit like 35 home runs a year. They say in batting practice, he would put on a show. He did everything into the seats.
Insane.
Yeah, he was great. And it had a cannon for an arm.
And good for him that the statue, at least his face was
Can we
good.
fix that thing,
I've
please,
seen
guys?
the Ronaldo statue. That's
D.
one of the
Wade?
worst ever. Yeah, there's some classics. At least he got that one right.
Danny, would you want a bad statue of you out in front of Florida State, or would you rather no statue in view?
I mean, a statue's pretty cool.
Statue's
Even if it's
sick.
bad, you're like, hey, they can still put up a statue.
Yeah.
You know, they can still have it.
What-
I'd
you-
still be pretty proud of it.
Are you guys Doak Campbell?
Yeah, Doak Campbell.
Doak Campbell?
Doak Campbell
Nice.
Stadium.
Yeah.
I do have a little plaque out there for the
Attaboy.
Hall of Fame.
Of course you
but
do.
People step all over it, I'm sure, all the time. All right, we got one more? Yeah, let's finish it out. Oh, perfect.
Final thoughts?
That's a wrap for us. Appreciate you guys listening. Next week, we'll do something probably a little draft related.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit early, but make sure you subscribe so you never miss a show. You'll get that little alert. It'll come in, let you know when we're live. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like. We appreciate that. Does a ton for us here on the show. Helps us grow. Appreciate it. Make sure you always follow along on social media at Danny Cannell.
And at Mano Steel. And guys, Danny's right. You're not just subscribing to the show on Wednesdays anymore. We're starting to pop out some great content. Danny is filming some great stuff for parents and youth athletes and coaching and all that. I've been doing some case studies here. We've got some cool people joining us. So it's not just the show now. We're going to develop this thing into more than a show. It's going to be something a little different, something a little special, guys. So check in with us.
Appreciate you guys. See you next week.